The Great Hall of Harmony Point space station buzzed with activity. Representatives from 12 different alien species sat around a massive circular table. The air filters worked overtime to accommodate everyone's breathing needs. Translators hummed softly as they converted languages in real time. Queen Zara of the Velkan Empire commanded attention even while sitting. She stood nearly 8 feet tall, with silver skin that gleamed under the station lights. Her 4 arms moved gracefully as she spoke about trade agreements. 2 hearts beat steadily in her chest, pumping blue blood through her powerful body. The Velkans were known across the galaxy for their strength and endurance. Tom Willis stood at his assigned post near the main entrance. As a human security guard, he felt small compared to the alien dignitaries around him. His brown hair was neatly combed, and his uniform pressed clean. He had worked on Harmony Point for 3 years now. Most aliens barely noticed him, which suited Tom just fine. It let him observe without drawing attention. The peace talks had been going well all morning. The Velkans wanted to expand trade routes through Terran space. The Aquatic Federation needed new mining rights. The Silicon Collective offered technological exchanges. Every species had something to gain from these agreements. Queen Zara was explaining mineral extraction protocols when something changed. Tom noticed it first because he was watching the room instead of focusing on the conversation like everyone else. The Queen's upper left hand trembled slightly. Her silver skin began to pale. The third moon of Kepler, 442b, contains vast deposits of rare metals. Queen Zara continued speaking, but her voice had a slight shake to it. Our mining ships can extract these materials without disturbing the local ecosystem. Tom shifted his weight and looked around the room. Nothing seemed out of place. The other delegates were listening carefully to the Queen's proposal. Dr. Keth, the Velkan royal physician, sat in the medical observation area. He was reading something on his data pad and had not noticed his Queen's condition. Queen Zara's breathing became faster. Her 4 hands gripped the edge of the table. We propose a 40-60 split of the extracted materials, she said, but now her words came out rushed. The Aquatic Federation representative, Ambassador Reef, raised one of his tentacles. Your Majesty, could you clarify the environmental protection measures? Queen Zara opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. Her eyes grew wide with what looked like pure terror. She stared at something in the upper corner of the room near the ventilation system. Tom followed her gaze but saw nothing there except shadows and metal grating. Your Majesty. Ambassador Reef asked again. Queen Zara's massive body began to shake violently. Her silver skin turned almost white. She made a gasping sound that filled the entire hall. Every delegate turned to look at her with growing alarm. Something is wrong, announced Dr. Keth, jumping up from his seat. His medical scanner was already beeping with urgent signals. Queen Zara clutched her chest with all 4 hands. Her eyes rolled back, showing only the whites. She let out a sound unlike anything Tom had ever heard before. It was part scream, part roar, and completely filled with terror. Then the Queen of the Velkan Empire collapsed. Her 8-foot frame hit the floor with a thunderous crash. The impact shook the entire room. Chairs toppled over as other delegates scrambled backward. Emergency alarms began blaring throughout the station. Medical emergency in Conference Hall A, the station's computer announced. All medical personnel report immediately. Dr. Keth rushed to his Queen's side, his scanner working frantically. Her hearts have stopped, he announced in shock. Both of them. Tom had never seen anything like it. Velkans were supposed to be nearly indestructible. Their cardiovascular systems were legendary for their strength. A Velkan could survive in conditions that would kill most other species instantly. How is that possible? Asked Commander Steele of the Human Defense Fleet. He was the highest-ranking human official at the talks. I do not know, Dr. Keth replied, working to restart the Queen's hearts with medical devices. Velkans do not suffer from heart conditions. Our species has not had a cardiac death in over 300 years. The medical team from Harmony Point arrived within minutes. They brought emergency equipment and additional scanners. Dr. Sarah Chen, the station's chief medical officer, immediately began working with Dr. Keth. "What happened?" she asked while checking vital signs. She was giving her presentation normally, Dr. Keth explained, his hands moving over various medical instruments. Then suddenly she became terrified and collapsed. Tom watched from his position. The other delegates had moved to the far side of the room, giving the medical team space to work. Some were talking quietly among themselves. Others were making urgent communications to their home worlds. The peace talks had suddenly become much more complicated. "I am getting electrical activity," Dr. Chen announced. "Her hearts are trying to restart." For 37 long seconds, Queen Zara's hearts remained still. Tom counted every moment. During those seconds, the most powerful leader in this sector of the galaxy lay dead on the floor. The political implications were staggering. If Queen Zara died during these peace talks, it could mean war between multiple species. Finally, both hearts began beating again. Queen Zara's eyes fluttered open. She took a deep, gasping breath. Her silver skin slowly began to return to its normal color. "Your Majesty," Dr. Keth said with obvious relief. "You are alive." Queen Zara tried to sit up but Dr. Chen gently pushed her back down. "Please remain still while we run more tests," the human doctor said. "What happened to me?" Queen Zara asked weakly. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Your heart stopped," Dr. Keth explained. "I have never seen anything like it in a healthy Velkan." "But why?" Queen Zara asked. "I felt such terror. Like my worst nightmares had come to life." Tom stepped closer to listen. During his time on Harmony Point, he had learned that different species expressed fear in different ways. Humans might freeze or run. Velkans apparently had heart attacks. Dr. Chen ran her medical scanner over Queen Zara's entire body. "All your vital signs are returning to normal," she reported. "Your hearts appear completely healthy." "Run a full blood analysis," Dr. Keth ordered. "Check for toxins, poisons, any foreign substances." "Already started," Dr. Chen replied. "Initial results show nothing unusual." Commander Steele approached the medical team. "Doctor, could this have been an assassination attempt?" "We will know more after the complete analysis," Dr. Chen said. "But I see no immediate signs of poisoning or external attack." Tom found himself thinking about the moment just before Queen Zara collapsed. She had been looking at that corner of the room with absolute terror. What could possibly frighten the most powerful being in the known galaxy? "I need to return to my ship," Queen Zara said, trying again to sit up. "Your Majesty, I strongly advise against that," Dr. Keth said firmly. "We need to determine what caused this episode." "The peace talks must continue," Queen Zara insisted. "Too much depends on these agreements." "The talks are suspended until we understand what happened," Commander Steele announced. "No one leaves this station until we have answers." Tom watched as Queen Zara's expression changed from weak confusion to royal determination. Even after nearly dying, she was thinking about her responsibilities as a leader. It was impressive, but also concerning. If she did not understand what had caused her collapse, it could happen again. "Begin full security protocols," Commander Steele ordered. "Scan every person in this room. Check all food and water supplies. I want this station searched completely." "Commander," Tom said, stepping forward. "May I make a suggestion?" Commander Steele looked surprised that a security guard was speaking up. "What is it, Willis?" "Before we start major searches, maybe we should ask Queen Zara exactly what she experienced," Tom suggested. "Understanding her perspective might help us figure out what happened." Dr. Keth nodded approvingly. "That is logical. Your Majesty, can you describe what you felt before the episode?" Queen Zara closed her eyes, clearly trying to remember. I was discussing the mining proposals. Everything was normal. Then I saw something that made me feel more afraid than I have ever been in my life. What did you see? Dr. Chen asked gently. I am not certain, Queen Zara admitted. It was in the corner of the room, near the ceiling. Something small and dark. The moment I saw it, every instinct in my body screamed danger. Tom looked up at the corner where Queen Zara had been staring. The ventilation grate was slightly open, probably for air circulation. The area was shadowy and hard to see clearly. Could it have been a weapon? Commander Steele asked. No, Queen Zara said firmly. Not a weapon. Something alive. Something that should not exist. Dr. Keth and Dr. Chen exchanged confused looks. Your Majesty, Dr. Keth said carefully, there are no dangerous life forms on this station. All biological materials are carefully controlled. I know what I saw, Queen Zara insisted, though she still sounded weak. Tom made a decision. While everyone else focused on medical scans and security sweeps, he would investigate that corner of the room. Something had terrified the most powerful being in known space badly enough to stop her hearts. Whatever it was, Tom intended to find it. As the medical team continued their work and the other delegates made urgent communications to their governments, Tom quietly positioned himself to get a better view of the ventilation area. The peace talks might be suspended, but the real investigation was just beginning. He had a feeling that solving this mystery would require more than medical scanners and security protocols. It would require understanding something that others had missed. And Tom Willis, human security guard, was determined to uncover the truth. 3 hours had passed since Queen Zara's collapse. The medical teams had run every test they could think of. Blood samples, brain scans, toxin screenings, and radiation checks all came back normal. Dr. Keth paced around the medical bay like a caged animal. He had never encountered anything like this in his 40 years of Vulcan medicine. Her hearts are functioning perfectly, Dr. Chen reported for the 5th time. All organ systems show normal activity. I cannot find any physical cause for what happened. Tom Willis had been thinking during those 3 hours. While the doctors focused on medical causes, he considered other possibilities. In his 3 years on Harmony Point, he had learned that different species feared different things. Humans were afraid of heights, darkness, or enclosed spaces. What did Vulcans fear? The conference hall had been sealed off as a crime scene. Security teams searched every inch for hidden weapons or dangerous devices. They found nothing suspicious. The ventilation system had been completely examined. No toxic gases, no harmful substances, nothing that could explain Queen Zara's reaction. Commander Steele was growing frustrated. We have 47 different species represented on this station, he told his security chief. Any one of them could have orchestrated this attack. Sir, we have found no evidence of an attack, Security Chief Morrison replied. Everything suggests this was a medical event, not sabotage. Then why can the doctors not explain it? Commander Steele demanded. Tom had been quietly observing the investigation. He noticed that everyone was looking for complex explanations. Hidden weapons, advanced poisons, sophisticated assassination techniques. But sometimes the simplest answer was the correct one. Commander, Tom said, approaching the group of senior officers. May I request permission to examine the conference hall again? The security teams have already searched it thoroughly, Commander Steele replied. I understand, sir. But I would like to look at it from a different angle. Commander Steele studied Tom's face. The young human guard had always been reliable and observant. What kind of different angle? I want to focus on what Queen Zara saw, not what might have been hidden, Tom explained. She said she saw something alive in the corner of the room. Something that terrified her. Maybe we should figure out what could scare a Vulcan that badly. Dr. Chen overheard the conversation. That is an interesting approach, she said. Medical science tells us that extreme fear can cause cardiac episodes, even in healthy individuals. But what could frighten Queen Zara? Security Chief Morrison asked. Velkans are apex predators on their home world. They fear nothing. Tom had an idea forming in his mind. Every species fears something, he said. Humans are afraid of things that were dangerous to our ancestors. Snakes, spiders, large predators. Maybe Velkans have similar genetic memories. Dr. Keth looked up from his medical readings. You may be correct, he said slowly. Velkan children sometimes have nightmares about ancient creatures from our planet's history. But those creatures have been extinct for thousands of years. What did these creatures look like? Tom asked. Dr. Keth seemed reluctant to discuss it. They were small but deadly. 8 legs, multiple eyes, venomous fangs. They nearly drove our species to extinction before we developed advanced weapons. Tom felt his pulse quicken. 8 legs and multiple eyes sounded very familiar. Dr. Keth, have you ever seen Earth creatures called spiders? The Velkan doctor's skin immediately paled. I have heard of them, he said quietly. I have never seen one, and I hope I never do. Why? Tom pressed. Because they look exactly like the ancient predators that haunted my species, Dr. Keth admitted. Even thinking about them makes me uncomfortable. Tom turned to Commander Steele. Sir, I need to search that corner of the room where Queen Zara was looking. Not for weapons or devices, but for small Earth creatures. You think a spider caused this? Commander Steele asked skeptically. I think it is possible, Tom replied. Earth spiders sometimes hide in dark spaces. If one got into the ventilation system and appeared in Queen Zara's line of sight, her genetic programming might have triggered a panic response strong enough to stop her hearts. Dr. Chen nodded thoughtfully. Extreme psychological trauma can absolutely cause cardiac arrest. If Queen Zara saw something that represented her species' worst evolutionary nightmare, the shock could explain everything. Commander Steele considered this theory. It sounds far-fetched, but we have no other explanations. Permission granted, Willis. Search that corner thoroughly. Tom made his way back to the sealed conference hall. The lights had been dimmed for the investigation, creating long shadows throughout the room. He walked slowly to the corner where Queen Zara had been looking when she collapsed. The ventilation grate was about 10 feet above the floor. Tom brought a ladder and positioned it carefully. He climbed up and examined the grate with a flashlight. At first, he saw nothing unusual. Just metal slats and dark spaces beyond. Then he noticed something. Tiny scratches on the inside surface of the grate. They were fresh, made by something small with sharp points. Something with claws or perhaps multiple legs. Tom used a sample container to collect some of the material near the scratches. Under his flashlight, he could see small strands of what looked like silk. His heart rate increased. Spider webs. He climbed down and carefully examined the floor beneath the grate. There, almost invisible against the dark carpeting, he found what he was looking for. A single strand of spider silk, no thicker than human hair, hanging from the ceiling. Tom followed the silk upward with his flashlight beam. 8 feet above the floor, barely visible in the shadows, a small brown spider hung motionless on its web. The creature was no bigger than a human thumb, completely harmless to any species on the station. But to a Velkan, it must have looked like the return of their ancient nightmare. Found something, Tom called out to Security Chief Morrison, who was monitoring the search from the doorway. What is it? A spider, Tom said. A completely ordinary Earth spider that somehow made it onto the station. Morrison approached and looked up at where Tom was pointing. That tiny thing caused all this trouble. If my theory is correct, yes, Tom replied. To Queen Zara, this probably looked like a creature from her worst nightmares. Tom carefully captured the spider in a containment unit. The small creature moved slowly, probably confused by the artificial environment of the space station. It was just trying to survive, completely unaware that its presence had nearly caused a diplomatic crisis. Security Chief Morrison contacted Commander Steele immediately. "Sir, Willis found something. You need to see this." Within minutes, the senior staff had gathered in the conference hall. Tom explained his discovery and his theory about Vulcan genetic fear responses. Dr. Keth confirmed that the spider did indeed look very similar to the ancient predators from Vulcan history. But how did an Earth spider get onto a space station? Dr. Chen asked. Tom had been thinking about that too. Cargo shipments, he suggested. We receive supplies from Earth colonies regularly. A spider could easily hide in a food container or equipment box. They are very good at finding small spaces. Commander Steele examined the containment unit holding the spider. This seems like such a simple explanation. Sometimes simple explanations are correct, Tom replied. Queen Zara saw this spider, her genetic programming identified it as an ancient enemy, and her body reacted with pure terror. The fear response was so strong that it overwhelmed even her powerful cardiovascular system. Dr. Keth studied the spider with obvious discomfort. Even knowing it was safely contained, he kept his distance. The resemblance to our ancient predators is remarkable, he admitted. I can understand how seeing this creature could trigger an extreme fear response. So this was not an assassination attempt, Commander Steele concluded. It was an accident. A very unfortunate accident, Tom agreed. But now we understand what happened, and we can prevent it from happening again. Dr. Chen was already making notes. We need to implement biological screening for all cargo shipments, she said. Small Earth creatures should not be able to reach areas where other species might encounter them. What do we tell Queen Zara? Security Chief Morrison asked. Tom considered this carefully. We tell her the truth, he said finally. But we explain it in a way that helps her understand and cope with what happened. She will be embarrassed, Dr. Keth said. To admit fear of such a small creature will seem weak. Fear is not weakness, Tom replied. Fear is a survival mechanism that kept both our species alive long enough to reach the stars. The courage is in how we deal with that fear. Commander Steele nodded approvingly. Well said, Willis. You have solved a mystery that could have destroyed these peace talks. Tom looked around the conference hall where so much had happened in just a few hours. A simple spider had nearly changed the course of galactic politics. It reminded him that even in the advanced technological world of space stations and interstellar travel, biology and evolution still mattered. There is one more thing we should consider, Tom added. This incident shows us how much we still do not know about each other. Maybe we need better cross-species education about our different fears and responses. Dr. Chen smiled. That is an excellent point. We could prevent many problems by understanding each other better. As they prepared to leave the conference hall, Tom took one last look at the corner where the spider had been hiding. Such a small creature had caused such a large crisis. It made him think about how interconnected life really was, even across different worlds and species. The investigation was complete, but Tom suspected that the real work was just beginning. Now they had to help Queen Zara understand what had happened and find a way to move forward. The peace talks could resume, but first, they needed to address the deeper issue of interspecies understanding. Tom carried the contained spider toward the biology lab, where it would be safely housed until it could be returned to an appropriate environment. As he walked through the corridors of Harmony Point, he reflected on how this incident had changed his perspective on his role as a security guard. He was not just protecting the station from external threats. He was helping different species learn to coexist peacefully, one small discovery at a time. Tom Willis stood outside Queen Zara's recovery quarters, holding a small data pad with his findings. The containment unit with the spider sat beside him on a mobile cart. He had spent the last hour thinking about how to approach this delicate situation. The Queen of the Vulcan Empire was not someone you could simply walk up to with bad news. Dr. Chen emerged from the medical bay. Her vital signs are completely stable now, she reported. Physically, she has recovered fully from the episode. What about mentally? Tom asked. She is still shaken, Dr. Chen admitted. Queen Zara keeps asking what happened to her. She has never experienced fear like that before. Commander Steele approached from down the corridor. The other delegates are getting restless, he informed them. They want answers before they agree to resume the peace talks. What have you told them? Tom asked. That we are investigating a medical emergency, Commander Steele replied. But they are starting to suspect this might have been an attack. Some are talking about leaving the station. Tom realized the situation was becoming more complicated by the hour. If the peace talks collapsed because of a misunderstanding about a spider, it could affect relationships between species for years to come. I need to speak with Queen Zara privately, Tom said. She deserves to know the truth, and she needs to hear it in the right way. Dr. Chen looked concerned. Are you sure that is wise? Learning that a small Earth creature caused her reaction might be more embarrassing than helpful. Embarrassment fades, Tom replied. But not understanding what happened could leave her vulnerable to future episodes. She needs to know so she can learn to cope with it. Commander Steele considered this. You may be right, Willis. But this is a very sensitive diplomatic situation. Queen Zara could interpret our findings as an insult to her species. That is why I want to approach this carefully, Tom said. I have an idea about how to help her understand without feeling ashamed. After getting permission from the senior staff, Tom entered Queen Zara's quarters. The Velkin Queen sat in a specially designed chair that accommodated her 8-foot frame. She looked tired but alert. Her 4 arms were folded across her chest in what Tom recognized as a defensive posture. Your Majesty, Tom said, bowing respectfully. I am Tom Willis, one of the security guards assigned to the conference. I remember you, Queen Zara replied. You were standing near the entrance when I collapsed. Yes, Your Majesty. I have been investigating what happened to you, and I believe I have found the answer. Queen Zara's eyes sharpened with interest. Tell me. I must know what could affect me so severely. Tom activated his data pad and showed her the biological scans he had taken. What you saw was a small Earth creature called a spider. It had accidentally made its way into the station's ventilation system. Queen Zara's skin immediately began to pale again. A spider? Yes, Your Majesty. But please let me explain why this affected you so strongly. Tom pulled up historical data about Velkin evolution. Your species faced extinction thousands of years ago from creatures called shadow hunters. 8-legged predators with multiple eyes and venomous fangs. Every Velkin child learns this history, Queen Zara said quietly. The shadow hunters nearly destroyed our civilization. Earth spiders have a very similar appearance to your ancient enemies, Tom continued. When you saw the spider, your genetic memory identified it as a threat. Your body responded with the same fear reaction that kept your ancestors alive. Queen Zara was silent for a long moment. You are saying that my fear was instinctual? Exactly, Tom replied. Humans have similar responses. We are instinctively afraid of snakes, heights, and darkness because these things were dangerous to our ancestors. There is no shame in having fear responses that evolution programmed into us. But I am supposed to be strong, Queen Zara said. A leader cannot show weakness. Tom set down his data pad and looked directly at her. Your Majesty, may I share something about human understanding of courage? Queen Zara nodded. We believe that courage is not the absence of fear, Tom said. Courage is feeling fear and choosing to act anyway. You have led your people through wars, made difficult political decisions, and built one of the strongest civilizations in the galaxy. One moment of biological fear does not erase any of that. Queen Zara considered his words. You speak with wisdom for someone so young. I have learned much from working with different species, Tom replied. Each of us has strengths and vulnerabilities. Understanding them makes us stronger, not weaker. Show me this creature, Queen Zara said suddenly. Tom was surprised. Your Majesty, I am not sure that is advisable. I need to see it, she insisted. If I am going to overcome this fear, I must face what caused it. Tom carefully wheeled in the containment unit. Inside, the small brown spider sat motionless on an artificial web. It was no bigger than Queen Zara's smallest finger. Queen Zara stared at the spider with obvious discomfort, but she did not collapse this time. It is so small, she observed. Yes, Tom agreed. Completely harmless to any species larger than an insect. But your mind saw something else entirely. I saw death, Queen Zara admitted. In that moment, I was looking at everything my species has feared for millennia. Tom nodded understandingly. That is exactly what happened. Your brain processed the visual information and activated ancient survival programming. Queen Zara continued to study the spider. How do humans deal with creatures that frighten them? We learn about them, Tom replied. Knowledge helps reduce fear. This spider, for example, is actually beneficial to ecosystems. It controls insect populations and helps maintain natural balance. Tell me more, Queen Zara said. For the next 30 minutes, Tom explained spider behavior, their role in nature, and their general harmlessness to large creatures. He showed her different types of spiders, their hunting methods, and their life cycles. Queen Zara listened intently, asking questions and gradually becoming more comfortable. They are quite different from the shadow hunters, she observed. Very different, Tom confirmed. Shadow hunters were large predators that actively hunted Velkans. Earth spiders are tiny creatures that avoid larger life forms whenever possible. Queen Zara stood up slowly. I can look at it now without feeling terror. Knowledge is powerful medicine, Tom said. Understanding what we fear helps us control our responses to it. You have given me a great gift, Queen Zara told him. Not just solving this mystery, but showing me how to be stronger. Tom bowed again. It has been an honor to help, Your Majesty. Queen Zara walked to the window of her quarters and looked out at the stars. What will we tell the other delegates? They will want to know what happened. We could say that you experienced an allergic reaction to an unknown substance, Tom suggested. That would explain the episode without revealing details that might embarrass anyone. No, Queen Zara said firmly. I will tell them the truth. Tom was surprised. Your Majesty. This experience has taught me something important, Queen Zara explained. We spend so much time trying to appear strong that we forget to be honest. If we are going to work together as different species, we need to understand each other's vulnerabilities as well as our strengths. 2 hours later, Queen Zara addressed the assembled delegates in a smaller conference room. She explained what had happened with dignity and honesty. She talked about evolutionary fear responses and the importance of cross-species understanding. We each carry the wisdom and fears of our ancestors, she told the gathered representatives. Recognizing this makes us more effective allies, not weaker ones. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Several delegates shared their own species' evolutionary fears. The Aquatic Federation admitted to genetic terror of electrical storms. The Silicon Collective revealed their instinctive fear of corrosive acids. Even the Proud Warrior clans acknowledged their deep-rooted fear of parasitic organisms. Commander Steele was amazed at how the crisis had transformed into an opportunity for better understanding. This has brought our species closer together than months of formal negotiations, he observed. Dr. Chen implemented new protocols for biological screening of cargo shipments. The station would be protected from future accidental encounters between species and their evolutionary fears. Most importantly, Queen Zara requested that Tom be assigned as a cultural liaison to the Velkan delegation. His understanding of interspecies psychology could benefit all our future negotiations, she explained. 3 days later, the peace talks resumed with renewed energy. The delegates had gained new respect for each other and a better understanding of the complexities of interspecies cooperation. Tom found himself in an unexpected new role. Instead of just providing security, he was helping species understand each other better. He began developing training programs for diplomats and station personnel about cross-species psychology and communication. The spider that had caused so much trouble was relocated to a specialized habitat in the station's biological research section. It became an unlikely symbol of how understanding could overcome fear. Queen Zara kept a holographic image of the spider on her desk as a reminder that courage comes from facing challenges, not avoiding them. She often told visitors the story of how a human security guard had helped her discover that vulnerability could become strength when approached with wisdom. The peace talks concluded successfully 2 weeks later. The agreements reached went far beyond trade and mining rights. They included provisions for cultural exchange programs, interspecies education initiatives, and psychological support systems for diplomats working in multi-species environments. As Tom watched the various delegations depart Harmony Point, he reflected on how much had changed in such a short time. A simple accident had revealed the importance of understanding not just what different species could do, but what they feared and why. Commander Steele approached him at his observation post. "Congratulations, Willis. You have been promoted to Chief Cultural Liaison for Harmony Point." Tom smiled as he watched Queen Zara's ship prepare for departure. Through the viewport, he could see her in the command center, confident and strong once again. She had learned that true leadership meant being honest about weaknesses and working to overcome them. The galaxy had become a little smaller and a lot more understanding, thanks to one small spider and one human guard who knew that sometimes the best solutions come from the simplest insights.